Hey guys, this is Patricia.
And I am Latanya.
And we are Black
Black
Mom
Mom.
Diaries.
See, now we act like we got some type of. Yeah, you know what? I just want to say, I don't. There's nothing off for me. I talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Patricia didn't want to start doing videos until I lost my side tooth. Yes,
What?
it's just gone. Look, it's gone. I'm
Girl, I
telling you
can't.
that. It does
Yeah.
not bother me that it's gone. I'm just saying. I know she'd be like, "What did you say that?" Nobody, but I see it, right? And the little kids that I teach dance class, I thought I was gonna get away with it, but because they sit so low and I'm standing so high, they be like, "What happened to your tooth?" I say, I don't know, baby, but it'll be back. They seriously. And then I come here. Patricia's like, we're gonna start doing video. Oh Lord, Lord, Lord. But guess what, y'all? I can eat
What?
better.
Yeah, you didn't need that tooth. That's what I was thinking. You didn't need that tooth. My mom doesn't have any of her teeth, and she eats just fine.
Wait a
I'm
minute
sure
now.
she's
I ain't
gonna
trying to
be
get rid of all of them. Now you just went to the extreme a little bit. You just took all of them out. I'm only I'm a young 40, so don't do it like that. But anyway, I just had to get that out because I see it, but I do love it. I think a side gap is where it is.
There you go. I know lots of people with front gaps, but now I know somebody with a side gap. So
It's not gonna be there for long. But anyway, how are you today? Here I go talking
I'm
about me.
good. I'm good. It's always good to be back in the virtual Black Mom Diaries house with my
Ooh,
girl.
I know that's right.
So
I saw her in
yeah.
the store last week, y'all. We didn't know how
Oh
to
my
act.
goodness. We had a reunion.
Girl, we didn't know how to act. It's not but since I moved from my house, right? I hadn't seen you.
Mhm. It's been a while. I
So
mean, you came by a couple times, but it was like a short visit, like
yeah,
outside in the car kind of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, to
right.
reunite in the store was like,
Girl, listen, we was hugging
hey.
folks. I mean, her
Uh-huh.
husband was there, her baby, and I was just, it was just really good to see you. We could have,
Uh,
I wanted to just like talk and talk, but
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can't be
We
doing
had ice cream and your son
that
your
was
son tried
melting.
some.
Yeah, my son was like, "You need to go because the ice cream." And then I'm like, "Y'all just gonna put it back in the freezer, y'all." Come on, y'all. Y'all know y'all
I
done
think
it. Walked
I
around
think
the
my daughter,
store.
yes, like yesterday I took my daughter to the store. On another note, she was like super hungry. She had a really long hair appointment and I had a mom fail. I didn't send her with snacks because I didn't think it was going to be that long, but I went to go pick her up and she was like, my tummy's burning. I'm hungry. So we stopped by the store and I just knew she was going to open her food up before we got to the counter. And I
Oh,
was, you know what? I was going to be like, go ahead. I
is
know.
that a
I
thing
mean,
though? Like people don't want their children to eat after snacks before they pay for them.
some people feel like that's ghetto or whatever. I've been in the store with people that have done that. And I know from my upbringing, my people were like, we don't do that.
Well, that's different.
Um,
You
yeah.
know, we're not going to even go there about our people and food in the store, girl. You wouldn't get water. You be nothing.
Yeah.
But the only thing that bothers me about it, I don't care about chips or anything. The
Uh-huh.
only thing is when you eat a whole banana and you don't walk around, it's weighted or something
Oh,
that's weighted. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That you got to go up to the thing. You done ate 12 of them and now you about to pay.
Uh-huh.
But again, to each his own,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
you're not about to eat this whole 5 bananas and then we go up there.
yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
you
saying?
only have to pay for 4 because you ate one.
Yeah,
Do
and
you tell them? Do you ask them? Is there a way
oh,
for them to
you
add on a
can't,
little bit more
it's
weight?
weighted. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that right there, you have
I never
crossed
thought
the
about that.
line. Go get the bag of chips with the doo doo on it.
Where they can, yeah. Yeah. And
So
she didn't open it. And I know that it was looked down on in my family to do that because I was like, "Ooh, I really don't want her to do this," but I was like, she's really hungry, so I'm gonna make an exception this time. Like I know I felt some kind of way inside.
and you're the
So
one that has to deal with it, or you gonna walk around the store, go
yeah,
pay
people
for
gonna
it,
look at me
and every
like
time
she
somebody
let her
look at
kid
you,
do that.
I got the receipt.
Yes,
She's good.
exactly.
She's good. She's
I've been in a store with some,
so
like
good.
I was in a store when I was in college, and one of my college buddies she wanted some Cadbury eggs, and we walked around the store, and she ate pretty much, I think she ate all but one. And I
Mhm.
was like,
She
wow,
really
this
wanted
is
some Cadbury eggs.
so weird, because like I said, like it was not acceptable in my family to do that. And I'm sure I know why. Uh, and
I
this
do too.
person did not have to deal with that because they were from an extremely wealthy family,
They
and
probably still
they
would have been in jail. Let me not go down
had
this.
less melanin than me.
Mhm.
So yeah, it wasn't a big deal for them. Like they didn't think about that. But I was like, oh wow, they just did that. Okay. It's not me.
Yeah,
So I am
yeah.
not responsible. But
The
anyway, though,
the battles we go through in our head, right? Just like,
right?
your baby's hungry. You're the one that's
Yeah.
got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Either go pay for it before or just deal with it. You know, make a choice,
Mm-hmm.
make a decision. Whatever decision it needs to help, it needs to be for the good. For the
Yes.
greater good of the community that you're around. I would say that. You
And I
know,
made a decision. I was like, if she opens it up or if she asks me to open it up, I'm going to be okay with it. And I'm going to endure any weird looks that I get. And I'm going to pay for it. Like, I'm going to pay for it. That's like the most important thing. I will pay for it. And we're going to be all good. But she didn't ask to open it. She was able to wait till we got in the car. So,
I love when you get to that mindset. Is I don't care what y'all think. Get out of
mm-hmm.
here. You could look at me sideways, upside down, however. I had people follow me through the store because I was dancing in the aisles. I don't care. I'm enjoying my life. You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying? Go on, find some peace or find that joy for yourself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But speaking of finding the joy for
Finding the
yourself.
joy. And well, let me tell you, I feel like this is kind of sort of relevant, and I want to share this
Okay,
story.
let's go.
And if it's not, then y'all can just throw it out with the
It's your
bathwater.
show. You can share whatever
So
you
I
want.
was, yeah. So, like most of us are involved in social media. And I was listening to this story, and it had to do with this woman, a Black woman that was in the hospital, and she was in labor about to give birth to her child. So it depends on your situation, but some people were chilling at the hospital dealing with labor. We're good for a couple hours and then it gets intense, and I guess this was before the intensity set in. Well, she had a Black nurse and a non-Black nurse, and the non-Black nurse went to her coworker that was Black and was like, I'm really concerned about the lady in whatever room. And maybe you guys have heard this story, but she was like, I'm concerned about her. I think we need to get a psych eval on her. And so her coworker, the Black nurse, was asking her questions. She was really confused because she said that she had interaction with this woman, and the woman was fine. Like she didn't see any cause for concern. And so the lady was telling her that she keeps hitting herself in the head. Like she just seems really bothered by something. She won't stop hitting herself. And so the lady was like, okay, that just doesn't seem right. She seemed fine. There's no cause for concern. And as she continued to ask more questions, she got to what was really going on. So she asks, so is it like this? And she starts patting her head like this, and y'all can see me now because they're on video, but she patting herself in the head. And her non-Black nurse counterpart said, yes, she's been doing that. I'm talking to her and she keeps doing that. And the Black nurse is like, that's kind of, I don't think she said this, but it's the Black girl pat. She was the mom in labor was doing the Black girl pat, and the Black nurse was like, we do that when we have braids or when we get our hair done because we don't want to scratch it and mess our hair up. There's nothing wrong with her except her head is itching and she's just patting her head. But I
Wow.
tell that story because, like when it comes to mental health and all those issues, a lot of us Black people, we don't, and I think we're starting to get more, open up to it, but
Mm-hmm.
we shy away from it. We're like, no, that's not for me. But just the fact that there's this lack of understanding, I can see why. Because when it comes to the mental health field, we're not always represented. Like the professionals are not always representative of who we are, and representation matters.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to figure out, I think, how to get around that, because owning our mental health and taking control of that, and really handling that is important, so
Yep.
that we can be our best selves.
Right.
That's my story.
Yeah, it's a lot to be said about mental health, and this is something that they're pushing forward. Um, excuse me, more and more now. But I always when I know we have a guest today, and maybe we'll talk about it then. I don't want to get into it today. Let's see who we have today. Who do we have with
Well,
us today? I'm
we
excited.
have we have a very special lady. Her name is Miss Shermonicia Slaughter, and she is a woman of God. She's a mother of 3 beautiful children. She has an MBA in criminal justice, and she is an 11-year survivor of domestic violence. She's an advocate for survivors of domestic abuse, and she founded the My Journey Within podcast. She
Mm-hmm.
also founded a nonprofit organization called Help Me Help You, and it's to assist survivors of domestic abuse. Furthermore, she is an overcomer of depression and suicide, and so she chose, because of that, to specialize in mental health. Her motto is love yourself enough so that when love shows up, it won't be a stranger to you. I love that. That is awesome. So without further ado, let's welcome Miss Shermonicia Slaughter to the Black Mom Diaries virtual house. Come on
Welcome,
in.
Hi.
Hey,
welcome,
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 welcome.
welcome.
Thank you so much. I love sitting and listening to you guys talk. I was just like, yeah, I be that way in the store with my kids. I'm like, I'm gonna pay for it, but they're gonna open up and eat it. They're gonna eat it. I'm like, I'm gonna pay for it, ma'am. Why are you looking at me sideways?
It's
Like,
always
Right?
stuff you think, but you don't say. I'm the wrong person
Mhm.
because I will say it. Like,
me
and I'm
too.
not rude or anything, but it just needs to be talked about sometimes.
Exactly. Now my mom is different. My mom would go like, I don't know if y'all Walmart has delis where they can like give you the hot food plate or something,
Hmm.
or maybe like that. But
Yes.
she would
Uh-huh.
she maybe get like some popcorn chicken or something, and she would walk around and eat it and then just put the bag somewhere. And I noticed my daughter was like, Mom, can we go do what grandma did? And I was like, what did grandma do? And I was like, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that.
Yeah.
We cannot do that, but that's a little bit too far now. But
It
then
just
my
puts
mother
it in the
do just
bread
sit in
aisle.
the
Put the
house.
bag in the bread aisle.
I'd be like, Mom. I mean, like, I'm not going to jail. And me and my mother look alike. We look so much alike.
Hmm.
And I went in the store one day and they thought I was her and they was following me around. And I was like, sir, why are you
Hmm.
following me? And he was like, ma'am, didn't I tell you don't come in here anymore? And I was like, what is she talking about? It was my mother. He was talking about, but he called
Wow.
me ma'am.
Oh,
So yeah, it's interesting being a mother sometimes.
It's just interesting
it
and awesome,
is.
Yes, thank
It
you guys so
is.
much for having me on. I love your dynamic together. You
right?
guys just flow so well together.
Thank you.
It's Patricia's fault. I'm gonna say it's her fault because I'm not organized at all in my thinking. She keeps it together.
Okay.
I'm grateful for her.
Oh,
I'm
that's so
grateful for
sweet.
you too. We
Mhm.
complement each other well.
Yeah,
So
But that's
yeah,
a blessing. That's a blessing.
yeah,
it
yeah.
is for sure. So
So, so
yay.
tell us about you a little bit. First of all, I love everything in your bio.
Thank
I'm
you.
all about doing the work so that the work that you want can know and be attracted to you, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times we want something that we're just not ready for. And one of them is something that we don't think we deserve is love,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, let me start by saying I got that quote from Jennifer Lewis. She was on the Breakfast Club. And now it's not her official quote, but she was like, it's something that she said. And I said in my podcast all the time, like I always give her the credit. Like I did not make that up. She said it. And actually, she gave me that slogan, and she gave me the name for my podcast within that whole interview right there. And so I always give her the credit for it.
Jennifer Lewis. Who's
She was on there talking about her. I think she was having a new book that it was coming out. She was talking about the last season of Blackish, and she was just kind of
Oh, the
okay? Okay,
mom.
yeah.
I'm
I
with
love
you.
her.
The name. I didn't get the name with the face. Okay.
She just
What
got
is
a
her name?
star. So
And you saw how she kicked her leg up.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She's
okay,
amazing.
mama.
Yes.
Yeah. So just tell us a little bit about you. Just something that's like, what do you like to do? What is your before we get into all the great stuff, the awesome stuff.
Okay. Well, my birthday is in September, and
Okay.
so I'll be 38.
Mm,
And I thank you. I've just been on this spiritual healing journey lately. And so I'm getting ready to do a fast for the month of August. I'm kind of just really gotten into like Reiki healing and things like that. And my son's going to join me with it. But I am such a homebody. I love being at home and having my house clean. I'm a Virgo, so I love to clean and everything. And I'm in that season right now of my life of just resting and enjoying, because my life has always been so chaotic and going and coming and this and that. And God has just really been having me and just like resting. So your girl been napping, babe. I love me a nap. Okay, a good nap too. A
good nap.
good
I
one.
was getting ready to say a good nap.
A
Yeah.
good one. When you
That
wake up
nap
thinking
when you
the next
forget where you
day.
went to sleep at. That's what type of nap I like. You
Yes, and so that's pretty much where he at. I love to clean. I love spending time with my kids. My son is a senior this year. He'll be he's
Uh,
senior year. My daughter's in the seventh. My other daughter's in the third grade, and so I'm just enjoying being mom and being in the healthy, mind space and what I have all, been in my younger years. And so I've just in cooking, trying to teach each other how to cook and stuff and everything. And I'm just enjoying this resting, because you never know when the next thing comes along where you're not resting. So that's
mhm.
where I'm at right now.
I felt that. Everything you said, I felt that in my bones that you just
Thank
said,
you.
because I feel like everybody desires to be in a place of peace and wellness. Especially, I
Hmm.
always say you could have everything, but my peace, you,
Yes.
I
People
don't
find
play
it
that.
hard when you're a single mother, and I'm a single mother, and so they think that oh, your life must be so chaotic. And at one point in time, it was raising three kids by myself. But as I got healthy and I got my mindset together, peace came more easier than when I was so focused on their dads not being there and everything. And I was like, I'm missing out on all the time I get to have with them. And so as I
Hmm.
just began to work on myself, I was like, and I just hate for a man to be like, I come take care of you and your kids. I don't need you to. I promise you I don't. I don't know why they just think single mothers out here just so, pay all my deals. And I'm like, no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I got it. I got
Well,
it.
that's because that's what's been pushed to the forefront. But
Yeah.
again, that's a whole nother beast right there. I want to
Yeah.
go back to something you said. We just started. I'm already going back.
No, come
So,
on.
because like I said, I have a personal podcast that I have, and I do invite guests on. It's called Loving Yourself to Life, right? And
Okay.
one of the things that I love, it's on a break right now because Patricia he got all my time tied up right now. So, one of the
Guilty.
things, yeah, well, one of the things I love is that when you do that work within,
Yeah.
everything on the outside has to change. So if you're chaotic on the inside, your children will be chaotic,
Yeah.
right? And how have you seen that with your work on yourself?
Oh wow. I really started my healing journey. It had to been like 5 years. It was like 5 years ago. But I just really got serious with it. But before then I was so unhealthy and I was so broken as a woman and as a mother, and just too busy trying to find a man and want to have a man in my life, that I neglect a lot of nurturing that my children needed at that time. And I would never be ashamed to admit it. I wasn't a horrible mother. I just wasn't a nurturing, because I had never had it growing up, so I didn't know how to give it and everything. And so, I have three children by three different men, so everyone have their own father. So they're all different in different ways, and they're all like their fathers. As weird as that may be, but they're all like them. And so I used to see a lot of traits in their fathers and them, and it would make me angry. And I would just be angry at my children for no reason. I was like, well, I got to heal this because my children didn't ask to be here, first off, and I shouldn't be taking out on them what their fathers did. So it was just a lot of anger, because I had a lot of anger built up.
Did you find that they were like that too? Did you
Yes.
find like they had some of those, like,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Now they had traits. They looked like them. It was like I was living in the house with them all over again. It's like, oh, y'all look like
yeah,
them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, but it was, I had to find peace. Like I truly, and I have fought so hard for it now. So I don't let anything disturb my peace. I'm not out here, looking for trouble, but you're not going to come in my life and disturb this peace bubble I brought for me and my children. We fought
right.
too hard for it. So once I began therapy, and I have a great relationship with God, I was able to just get that healing and get that release I needed. So now I'm able to look at my children and say, your Stephon, Kamora, and Riley, you're not your fathers. You're not your father.
Right.
Right.
So what was that moment for you where you decided, okay, enough is enough. I need to work on healing myself?
Okay.
What's
It
the
was the
ground
fact.
story? What's the ground
It was
story? What happened?
okay.
What
Yeah.
happened?
It was the 5 years ago. I was with my last daughter's dad. We were together and we were engaged to be married. He had proposed to me, but it was so toxic. Oh my God. The whole relationship me and him had, it was always other women. It was, emotional abuse. He was toxic. And in a way I was toxic too. And 55 days before the wedding, he called it off, and he got another woman pregnant. He was with her like the next week. And so it broke me. It devastated me because, looking back now, he was my father because I had severe father
Come on
issues.
now. Come
Each
on
one
now.
of my yes, each one of my children's dad, they had a little piece of my father, but he was my father. He even looked like him. He acted like him.
Wow.
He treated me like him, and I held on to him for so long through all the toxic stuff. And so when he left and got the other woman pregnant, and it was just like, he replaced me just like that. And as I was sitting, like everyone up too, friends that I had known for a long time, family members, it was like I was all alone. When he left, they left. And it was just me and my kids. I had my pain, I had their pain, because they finally thought, well, maybe we was going to get a dad. And that's when I was actually just going to therapy to try to get over him. But then I realized I got to heal my childhood trauma of the sexual abuse I went through, the physical abuse. I got to heal all that because it has allowed me to be in the situations I've been in with men and in friendships and everything like that. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to do this deep healing work. No dating, no men, because I said I want to be right and prepared for when the right one comes along. And God has had me in a place of contentment where I'm content. If I don't get married, I'm fine. If I do get married, I'm fine and everything. So once I began to do all that, I that's when I really began. Like I had a lot of work. I had a lot of work I had to do, and my healing was not pretty. It was dark. It was deep. But I'm glad I came through because now I got, I have my 2 daughters and my son, and they don't have to go through what I went through because I know my mistakes now, and I can try to help them. Even though I can't stop every mistake they're going to make because they have to learn, but I can show you, something better because my mindset is different and healthier now.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go a little further.
Okay.
When did you realize? When did you realize that you had to stop looking outward?
Ooh, okay. So it was maybe about 2 months after he had left. And I remember I would just take my kids to school because I wasn't working. I would take them to school and just come back and get in bed and cry, cry, cry. And then he had a habit. He would come over and like argue with me and fuss and fight with me. And then he would leave. And then I was sitting in all of that. And I'm like, you going on. You're laughing, you're partying, you going on about your business. But I'm over here in this. And I was at home in bed crying, and I was watching Oprah Winfrey's Masterclass, and Tyler Perry was on there. And I love
Mm-hmm.
his episode. I still had it recorded. I still listen to it. And he started talking about
It was a great
forgiveness.
one. Mm-hmm.
It was really great. He talked about forgiveness, and he talked about how he don't argue with the way things are. Like he never argued with reality. And it's like I sat up in my bed, and I was like, that's it. I was like, he's not coming back over here anymore. Like, I gotta move forward. I gotta heal. And from that day right there, he wasn't allowed to come back to my house. I only talked to him when he was trying to get his shot. I put that boundary up, and I said, I gotta focus on myself now. And that's what I began to do, and I never looked back.
Right. I talk
I
to
have
a
a
lot of
question about.
people. Oh,
Okay.
go ahead.
No,
No,
no.
no. It's
Well, so I'm just curious because you said a couple things. You said that the healing process was not easy. It was dark. It was ugly, and that makes a lot of sense. And also just putting up that boundary that can be hard. So I want to know, how was that when you put it up? Was he okay with it? Did he resist? And how did you maintain that boundary? That's my first
Oh,
question.
Oh, he didn't like it at all because he always had access to me. I was always
Mhm.
available. I don't care what woman he was with, what dirt he was doing. When he wanted to come see me and be me, it was like, hey, I'm dropping everything I'm doing. I have left being on a date with another man to go meet him. Like, that's
ooh,
just that
Wow.
kind of hold he had over me, and he didn't like it. And so he would be blocked Monday through Friday, and then on Fridays I would unblock him and say, "Are you coming to get your daughter?" If he didn't want to give me the answer, he was back blocked again. I
Wow.
gave him no access to me at all. He wasn't allowed to even step foot in my door. If he did come to get her, I met him outside. He got his daughter. I came back in the house. Like, I shut it down completely.
yeah.
And he wasn't used to that. And so I had to end up getting a restraining order against him because he got into my house one day and he physically attacked me in front of my children. And so I
Mm.
had he hate to lose that
Because he
control.
was
And
control. I was gonna
yeah.
say
Mhm.
because he had lost control of
Mhm.
something that was feeding him energy.
Yes,
That
and he was so
fed
used
him.
to women running behind him,
Oh,
and it was like, no. So,
wow,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leaves me almost speechless in just that moment of. I always say, well, sometimes you have to lose control to gain control. Not so much as what was going on with him, but with you. You have to
Yeah.
lose yourself in the shadows, in
Mhm.
that work, in order to go back in and get that little girl and bring her out and say,
Yeah.
what is it? What is it that you need to do? What is it that I need to do for you so that you can smile at me again? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That this is really deep. And you talked about your darkness, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people don't like it because it hurts so dang bad,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? It hurt because at one point I found myself in a depressive type of, within my marriage. And I always tell, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but mental health, this is my opinion, but also because I've had some issues with it. I had postpartum depression also with
Mhm.
my daughter, my first one, and then they watch me through each one of my other children.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything, but it was like I really wanted to take her life in order to keep her to myself. That was my depression. So it wasn't
Mhm.
so much as separate. It's just that I wanted, that I don't want anybody else to do anything else. But when I talk to people and they say I'm having an anxiety attack or I'm depressed, and I ask them why, and I keep asking them why, and keep saying why, it's because they're trying to control something that they can't control.
Mhm.
So you've given your power to the uncontrollable. So now you're depressed. I have anxiety. But when you take control of your life and your thoughts and your boundaries,
Yeah.
you end up looking like Shermonica.
Mm.
Amen. Thank you. I tell my daughter that a lot. She's going to be 13 in October.
Mhm.
And I always tell her, you're in control. Don't let your
Mhm.
emotions control you.
Come on now.
My emotions controlled my life for so many years. And I'm trying
Yeah.
to teach them that now. You are in control. I promise
Well,
you are
it's
in control.
easier. Is right. Like it can be easier to allow your emotions to control your life. You don't have to take responsibility for it.
Yes.
And it can be like healing can be messy, or staying in the mess like it's clearly messy. But if you're used to being in that mess, it might be comfortable for you. And again, you don't have to take any responsibility. And sometimes it's easier to stay there. As hard as healing is, taking responsibility and taking back that control can be, it's just really hard. And like you said, like at some point in healing, there's the moment where, you know, you've started it. So you've already began the process. You're not quite to the end. You don't know when the end is coming. You're in the middle. And that's, I think, the hardest part. And that's, I think, when people are ready to give up, because the beginning, you're like, yes, I'm doing this. But in the middle, it's just like, I've come too far, but this is really hard. And I don't want to do it anymore. What is it that kept you going when you were in the middle?
I'm still in the middle. I still am. I really
Okay.
am still in the middle. I have learned that we're always going to be healing from something. We're going to be overcoming something. And I think when we get to the point where we're fully healed is when the day we get up out of here.
That is
And
that is
when we
absolutely
meet
right.
Jesus, we're always just
Absolutely.
on this journey, because you never know which way life is going to, take you and bring you and everything. But you have a decision every day when you wake up. And I wanted to
Yeah.
piggyback on something that you had said. I love TD Jakes. I haven't listened to him in a moment, but I like his old sermons. I'm talking about like skinny bald head TD Jakes. I
Yeah.
like his
Where
sermons
he's
like
like,
that.
yeah.
Little Luther,
And,
Big Luther.
nothing against his sermons now, but he have this one sermon. It's a 3-part series. It's called Forever the Victim. I don't think so. And he basically talks about a victim mindset and a victim mentality. And he states, and I wrote it down, and he was like, especially when it comes to women, he was like, we pray and be like, Lord, send me a man. Lord, send me a husband. And, that will understand my pain and understand what I'm going through. And he was like, that's a victim mentality. A heal mentality, say, Lord, heal me, deliver me, set me free, so I don't be a weight in somebody's life, and we can build this up together. And I had both of those mindsets before. I've had before and everything, but I feel like I'm just learning something different every day when it comes to healing. And even with this journey I'm about to get ready to go on now for these next 30 days of this healing and this shadow work, I feel like it's going to be even more that I'm, it always seems like it's something else popping up, because I did my first healing session like Monday. It was like last Monday. I had a true encounter with God, just a true spiritual encounter. And it was just amazing. And it just opened up stuff I thought that maybe, I was already healed from. And I was like, okay, so I would still say I'm still in the middle of my journey, still going through
Okay.
it.
It's so many layers to it, like you said.
Yeah.
And I know not a lot of our listeners. I'm going to and let me not say that, because then I'm just thinking about it. But we don't talk about energy healing on this show a lot. A lot of people may not know about Reiki or any of those types of things like that. But it is a form of energy healing to help you to connect deeply and pull out those things that we don't understand that steers our life. There's many types.
Yes, it is.
So that's what it's energy healing, because I did another one called Theta. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but just going into that, that's those all need explanations. But we have so many, just so, like you said, there's no middle.
Yeah.
And definitely when it's an end, it's really the end of your physical experience.
Yeah.
Right. So
I guess I was thinking, in like the deepest, darkest moments where you felt like this is just too much, it's too overwhelming. When you got through that storm, like what kept you going when you were in that and you just felt like this is too overwhelming and I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the work to get to the rainbows and the sunshine.
Oh my goodness. It seems like you've been in my prayers praying, because I have been praying that. I take that quiet time. and I just spend that time with God. When I'm like, Lord,
Mhm.
this is just because I didn't used to be honest with God in my prayer. When I first really gave my life to God, I was one of those people who'd be like, Father God in heaven. And I was one of those people like that. And I'm, oh God, so I'm like, that's not how I want you to talk to me. I want you
Right,
to tell
yeah.
me the truth. So now I'm so open and honest with God about everything. And if I'm going through something, if I'm dealing with something, like, Lord, this is too heavy for me. I need your help. I need some relief. I need that. And so I pretty much, that's what I'll do. I'll take time myself. I'll get off social media. You know, my kids know, hey, mom needs her time alone right now. And I just spend that time, you know, in worship with God until I get the answers I need or the relief that I need. And he just fulfilled like a big prayer for me. He blessed me with a wonderful paying job because thank you. I had been run behind this other job for like almost 5 years, and they kept rejecting me. They wouldn't hire me. And I was like, God, I don't know what's going on. I got the qualifications. And when I took that time back, this job just fell into my lap, and it's better, it's flexible, it's more money. I mean, it was just like every time I went back and look at my prayer with everything on there. So that's what I do when I come through a horrible, like God, I ain't gonna make it through this. I'm not gonna make it, I can't make it. And you know, my son was diagnosed with epilepsy in 2020. He started having seizures just out the blue, and it was dark. I didn't know, I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, Lord, I've been praying over my children even before I even had a true relationship with you. Like, what's going on with my son? And I would just cry, and I would just give in to what the devil was saying, like he's gonna die, he's not gonna make it, and everything. And it was hard. It was very rough. But I just, once again, I didn't sleep for almost like a year because he would have me in his sleep. And so I used to go sit
Ooh.
in his room on the floor, and I would just cry because I feel like if I was close to him, maybe he wouldn't have one. And you know, God was just like, you got to trust me, and you got to just give him to me. And so, you know, that's what I did. And it was hard because it's hard watching your child have a seizure and you can't do anything about it, do anything to help. And so and thank God now he's been 4 months seizure free. So I'm grateful for that.
It's
But
good.
thank you. But that's where I go. I just turn to God.
I love your
Mhm.
thank yous, by the way. They feel so
Yes,
genuine. Thank you,
they
thank you.
are.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's sugar. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like that's what you say when you say them. I just love your thank
Mhm.
you.
Thank you
Anyway,
so much.
Yeah. Well, you know, I used to be a counselor. I'm like a cat. I've had many lives. I was a counselor a
Wow.
long time ago. And it's
sorry.
so interesting because I think that your laughing got me.
Not a
That
cat, Patricia. You know.
I know I'm not
Hey,
even a cat
Hey.
person, but yes, I call myself. I use because I've had so many different lives, and yeah. So I was a counselor in one of my many lives, and it's so interesting because I believe I can't think of a specific situation where my family made me feel like it wasn't okay. But well, I mean, my dad was like, "Why do you want to be a social worker and help people that nobody wants your help really, and you're just going to be poor." Oh, God rest his soul. But yeah, like so that maybe that, but I feel like my family, there was this unspoken thing where everything that happens in this family stays in the family. All the issues that we have, we keep it in the family. We deal with it, and nobody on the outside can help us.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know if that was your experience coming from, you know, your family, but and you know, like I had mentioned in my story before, like representation in mental health matters because I think if we don't have that representation, we can be misdiagnosed, or it might affect us negatively. So I get how a lot of us feel like that we have to keep it in the family, but also it is important to take responsibility for our mental health so that we can become better, healed, whole people. So how was that for you, when because you said that a part of your healing was um, starting in counseling and getting that assistance? How was that for you? Like,
It
did
was
you have that
hard.
issue? Did you have that issue
Yes.
where there was like
Yes.
this thing where your family was like, we don't get help from the outside?
Oh my goodness, most definitely. Yes. I was one of those people who was like, Black people don't go to therapy. All my life, I said that Black people don't go to therapy, and now I'm a huge advocate for therapy. Please go. I'm like, if nothing's going on in your life, go to therapy. If everything's going on, go to therapy. Please go. I have all my children in therapy. They've been through before. Like, please go. But yes, I had a very, very traumatic childhood. Both my mother and my father were drug addicts. And, we experienced physical abuse and sexual abuse and emotional abuse. And, my father would come and go. He was with my mom, with another woman, this woman, that woman. And, he would leave us alone with her. And she would just go on binges for days and leave us alone. She was kidnapped twice when we was younger. We stayed running from different shelters and moving different places. And she was very physically abused. She would put us out the house and we would have to sleep on the porch and we would have to sleep in dumpsters and any place where we can just get somewhere warm until she got done getting high or whenever the person would leave and then we was able to come back in. We went with no food and no lights and no water or anything. It was very, very, and I had to overcome all that because whenever my children would go somewhere, my first question was, have you eat? Did you eat? You're not hungry. You're not starving. Because that was my fear. Because I went to bed hungry and starving many nights. Or school was the only place I could get something to eat from because we didn't have any food at home to eat. So I just had to overcome all of that, the physical side, the emotional side, the mother wound, the father wound, and everything. And then, I was the darkest of my sisters. They were all light skinned. So, they teased me horribly. Oh, you're Black, you got slave hair, you're this, you're that. So I had a colorism problem. I did not like light skinned women. I thought they all were the same. And, because I was just different. And, I was always on the outside when it came to the three of them. And so it was a lot that I realized that my therapist said to me when I first came in there. She was like, you would not come in here with a mask on. You're going to be honest in here. But she was like, right now, you walking around with graves. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, everything that's happening to you, you buried it. And it's a grave and it's attached to you everywhere you go. So I want you to put that visual picture in your head of just graves of the hurt, the mom, dad, all this. All that's on you right now while you're walking around thinking you're okay in life. And we got to dig these graves up and heal
You just did an exercise that I like to do when people talk to me. No, I'm not a counselor. I thought about it one day, but you just connected the dots.
Yeah.
So and I'm talking to the audience, if you find that you are facing the same problem over and over again, or why do I keep attracting this type of man? Why do I keep because let me use Shermonica as an example. She went back. She said her mom and her dad wasn't abusive. Dot number one, because that's the first imprint in your life, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like it, but this was comfortable because you already knew it. You just grew. It was just so comfortable. So guess what? What do we like to feel?
Comfortable and familiar.
And familiar. So as she got older, those dots just kept being connected onto her relationship.
Yeah.
Guess what drew it? Being comfortable, because you learned how to thrive in that situation. So guess what? Even though it was it was comfortable, it was uncomfortable, but now I want it to stop. So how do I get it to stop? Hansel and Gretel, you just left breadcrumbs back to how to get it to stop.
That was great.
Right? I know.
She should totally be a counselor. She
should be
one. Do the work. I had to do the work. I get what you're saying when you say that. I had abandonment issues, and I'm very free with this. And I love my husband. We are still together today, but he showed me why I had abandonment issues because he started it again. And I'm like, I'm not about to be 20 years married going through this. I had to go all the way back to when my mom left me at 2 months old. And when I did theta healing, she said, that didn't start when you were 2 months old. You knew in the womb that your mom was going to give you to your aunt.
Wow.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So,
wow.
Yes. So that's why people really should understand out there of how much they don't understand how much going back. They hate the word because people bring in shadow work, but it's still the same thing. The things that you have buried, the graves that's shadow stuff that you fail to see, fail to, but that's presenting itself in your life that want you to live. You always want you to win.
Mm-hmm.
You ask for
You're
this,
not counselor.
huh?
Right?
Oh,
She's
Are you
so
sure?
gifted.
Are
This
you
girl has so
sure?
many gifts. She's got so
it's
many
just,
gifts.
I
And
think
this
you
is
need
just
to
one of
explore
those.
that.
I
Like that
don't
was
know.
absolutely amazing.
I don't think I need I don't think I hate school, so I don't think I need a certificate. I got the receipts with my life. That's how I
Well,
feel.
Yeah.
that's amazing what you said about your husband because I've been listening to Miles Monroe lately, the late great Miles Monroe, and he said marriage exposed everything you
Oh,
went through, like
everything.
through your single stages, and it will expose it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was a clingy woman. I was like, "Oh, you're gonna stay in my life, and I'm begging you to be here," because I had abandonment, codependent issues, all of that, all of that. So I'm here. I'm begging you to stay because I got so used to being abandoned. I don't want to be abandoned anymore. So I was like, yeah, and I'm so grateful. I have forgiven him for everything that's happened. But I thank God every day that I did not marry him because where my life is and where his life is, the marriage wouldn't have lasted anyway, especially the paths
Mm-hmm.
that that we're going on. And it's even sometimes I just wake up out my sleep and be like, oh, thank you God I ain't married him and go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Go back to
Oh,
sleep.
He had greater for you.
Thank you.
So
the
what
networking
so
piece too. I did one more thing. One more thing.
yeah.
Another thing is because they pulled us away from our communities. That's another reason why therapy is so needed. And then we stop talking to each other because we don't want anybody to judge us and we want to look like what we perceive ourselves to be on the outside. That's a hard, people don't want to do the work because you don't want to face yourself,
Yes, yes. It's a
right?
lot of responsibility on the other side of healing because you can't use that mindset anymore. Once you're healed from it, you can't fall back on
Can't
it.
go back.
I spent years
Yeah.
saying, but my mom left me and my dad left me, so I
No
got every
excuse.
right to be this
Right.
way. I didn't want to do any healing. I didn't want
Right.
to do it. And
Mm.
people think that it's just peace. I mean, they just think it's like, oh, you sitting by the beach and meditate. No, that's not peace and
That's not
it's a
it.
lie. It is a lie. It may be cute for TikTok and you post so cute, but real true healing, oh, it's gonna cut you open. And
It's
No.
I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's gonna bleed the old you are and like the old Shermonica and who I am now. We used to fight a lot because she wanted to stay being a victim. She wanted to stay
Mm.
blaming everybody and not take responsibility. But I'm like, it's so much better. And that's why I try to teach the women with domestic violence. It is life after it because I'm an example. I've been through abuse relationship. It's life afterwards, and it's so much better. But you gotta keep going.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And abusive, and like I said, you were comfortable in that
Yeah.
abuse. That was a lot of abuse going on. That wasn't just physical, it was mental. It was also spiritual because you don't
Yeah.
know in that time you're attacked spiritually. Like, oh, is
Mm-hmm.
God real? Is he really allowing this?
Yeah.
Right.
We go
Yep.
to church every day, but then he come home and you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
he's on every level. So
Right.
awesome to you. I like I
Thank
said,
you. Thank
learning,
you.
and then what I also, and I'm gonna just put this out there. What I really do love is that you have your relationship with God, but you have explored the other avenues of healing.
Yes.
That is that's not easy to do. I just
Yeah,
No.
want to let you
especially in the
know.
church. They always just say,
Yes,
Yes.
just pray to
Yes.
God. Just tell
yes,
Right.
God
not
everything.
easy.
But I'm like, hey, God made therapists. He made
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrists. So he put them
yes,
here first. Like, I'm going to go to
Right.
my therapist. I'm going to
yes,
go. And so, I mean,
yes.
I've come across that a lot. People think a lot of stuff is, oh, that's witchcraft, this, that. And I'm
Come on
like,
now.
I have a deep relationship with God. Holy Spirit. If something ain't right for me, he'll let me know. He don't got no problem talking to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Right.
I promise you he don't
Right.
at all, period. And so I leave it at that. I tend to just take my mind off what other people think. And I've
Right.
learned
Got
to just
you.
say, hey, what do I want to do? And what do I like? And it has been working wonders for me. I have my son, they have like Reiki for epilepsy. People, I have him to listen to. And so I mean, I like peace. I want to sit in
Right.
my house in my bra and in my
Yeah.
room, and I want to eat me some chips and salsa, and I just want to be at peace.
At the
I
end of
think
Yeah.
the day, you lay
that's when,
down with you, you get up with you. I like it. You
Right.
lay down with you,
And
you
you
get up
don't
with
have
you.
to answer to anybody else at the end of your life.
nope,
And I
nope.
think that, like God is he's so creative.
Yeah.
So not one thing, there's not just one thing that works for everything. There's not just one answer that works for everything. And like you said, I mean, maybe my healing will be through God, and he just does all the healing and I don't need a counselor. But there's somebody over here that maybe needs to have counseling. And we just need to support that everybody has a different journey, and just support and let it go, and don't put your 2 cents in unless
Yeah.
you really feel it, or like you can put your 2 cents in, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make my own decisions, and just because you gave me your opinion does not mean that I'm going to take it and run with it. Sometimes your opinion is welcome and sometimes your opinion is not welcome. But my
Amen.
life is my life and my journey is my journey, and how you got there may not be how I'm going to get there. So yeah, and I'm all for therapy. Like you said, like you have your kids in therapy. I want my kids in therapy, and just because there's like not an issue does not mean that my family and I don't need to be in therapy and have that additional help. So how, because you've talked about it a little bit, you have a podcast
Yeah.
and you have a nonprofit,
Mhm.
and these are two different ways for you to advocate for women that have been through domestic violence. Like I'm guessing that addressing mental health issues and working on healing past traumas is at the center of the
Yeah.
advocacy work that you do. So talk to us about that.
Okay. You want to know about my podcast or the nonprofit or both?
Both of them.
Well, yes, start with one and then go to the next one.
Okay.
I know about all the good stuff.
Yes,
Well,
all of
my
it.
podcast is a little bit older than my nonprofit. I started it the first day that COVID really happened, and it had shut my job down. And of course, they was like, "Well, you'll be back to work in 2 weeks," and little did we know, here we are 2 years later. But I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What am I going to do?" And I had been kind of just started listening to podcasts, and I'm like, "I can do this. I can do this." And so that's when I just went on the search and like, what's the name gonna be? And as I said, I came across the interview with Jennifer Lewis. So she said the journey within, but then I felt my journey because it's my journey and everything. So basically, I just talk about my journey of things I've been through. I talk about my childhood, my teenage years. I talk about being a single mother, a single woman. I tried to get back out there and dating, and it horrible. Oh my God. You girls are lucky you married. I mean, you're lucky you're married. And I just talk about, my mental health things I've overcome, depression. I tried to commit suicide 3 different times, throughout my life. Thank God I'm still here. I talk about, things with my children. And I pour myself out there. And I'm on the break right now. I took a break for the summer because me and my kids, we call it, I call it the summer of growth. And so we just spent the whole summer together and just, doing things. I just took a break from it. So I was going to start back in August, but since I'm ready to get ready to do this 30-day thing, I'm going to start back up for my birthday in September. I start back up then, but that's pretty much what it's about. I'm on all major platforms, and I just try to be real and open and honest on there about everything. Like, hey, I went through this, and if you're going through it, you can get over it too. I promise you can get past it. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the podcast. And then with my nonprofit, she's over a year old. Help me help you. But she was prophesied to me like in 2019. But I ran from it. I was like, I don't want to do this work. I didn't want to do anything domestic, but I was like, it happened to me. I'm done with it. But it kept coming across my path. And I was like, okay, it's meant for me to get out here and share my story and help these women. And so the basis of my nonprofit is therapy. Like, if you want to come through my nonprofit, you're going to have to get there. But like, I have resources to help you find an apartment, to help you find a job. But if I do not help you heal and change your mindset, all you're going to do is go back to the abuser, or you're going to meet the next man who's going to abuse you. So let's focus on you. Now, I do have some women that this has not came through my nonprofit that I talk to, because a lot of times they just need someone to talk to. But the basis of when you're ready, let's get you some therapy. Let's get you the help that you need so you can have a better life after this.
That's awesome. That last piece you said, some people just need somebody to talk to, is why we created Honest Chats, which we're working on, because the value of just being able to exchange vocal energy.
Yes. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that. When I was in my situation, I didn't have anyone to talk to and lean on, because it was always, girl, you stupid, girl, you dumb. I would have been left him if he did this, he did that. And I didn't need that at the time. Yes, it was true, but I didn't need that. So I just needed someone to talk to. And when you're ready to go, you'll go. Trust me. And, when you're ready to get up out of there, you will. And so that's why I don't ever turn anyone away. Like, you just need to talk. Okay, then let's talk. I'm here because I know how to take all that and dump it out and give it back to God, and I hold on to
it. Do you work alone, or do you have a team? I apologize.
It's just me. It's just me right now.
So I see that team coming around you.
Thank you.
I do. It's coming.
They're coming.
They've just been, you've been out there. They're coming, because that's not the only thing that you're. Okay, let me not get into that. Let's go.
Well, I want to just say
that. A pastor, right?
Yes, right. She a prophet and everything. I just want to say that I like LaTanya said, the fact that you offer that as an option, somebody to talk to with no pressure, because I have I've worked with women that have been in those situations before, and I've personally known people that have been in situations of domestic violence. And there's a lot of judgment, like you said, where you tried to reach out to people and they were like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And there's so much power in just keep zipping your lip and listening, like being that ear for somebody, being that person. And like you said, when they're ready, they will get out of the situation. And there's really one of the people that I knew personally that was in a situation like that. She made a comment, and I will never forget that. She was like, if you've never been in a situation, you don't know. So you can tell me 1,000 times you need to leave, but you don't know what it's like. Like, you are not in my shoes. So you can tell me all these things that you would do, but
until
you really don't know that.
You will never know. And I had to, and it's crazy as it sounds. I was like, because I've seen my mother being abused. In my mind, I was like, I'm never gonna give it no man that put his hands on me. And every man I've been with had put their hands on me, and I was like, okay. So I learned to say, don't ever say what you won't go through or what you won't deal with, because I guarantee you, life will have a way of making it come on back around to you. So I don't put my mouth on anybody, because I know for a fact.
Also, you telling somebody that's in that mental state that, girl, you got to leave. Actually, that appeals to the trauma.
It does. Because you ain't offering me a place to stay. You ain't saying, hey, you and your kids come stay with me. I help y'all stay safe. No, you just saying go. But see, in my situation, he didn't work. That's how messed up and broken I was. I was the breadwinner. So he, even if he did, he left, it wasn't gonna faze me because I was making the money. He was at home and everything. So I was just like, oh Lord. It just made 12 years this month. For me. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome. That's really big, though. We don't want to skip past that.
Thank you.
That's awesome right there. We need to get some sound effects or something. Some yays or some girl yes or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We be our own sound effects, girl. Yes.
Hey. All right.
We did it.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to if there is somebody out there listening to this podcast, what's something that you would say? Because you seem like you have this gift of encouragement. What is something that you would say just to give them that encouragement right now if they're in that situation.
Thank you so much for that. That is one of my gifts from God, encouragement. I don't say a lot of people respond to it well, but hey, I love encouraging. I would always say, just look at you. And a lot of times when I talk to the women, I tend to try to get off of what they're and onto you. Because when you begin to focus on you, you will be like, well, maybe I don't deserve this. I mean, it's just to focus on you. So I would always, to anyone who's listening, look at yourself. Turn around, look at you. I promise you, you'll begin to find the answers that you need. And it all starts with just loving yourself. It took me so long to learn how to love myself and accept myself and be okay with who I am, as Shermonicia, instead of who you want me to be. And so I always start with love. I lead with everything with love, because I feel like you just can't go wrong with it. So I would just say, learn to love yourself. Because if I would have been a whole and healed woman, I would have never went through all the things if I knew who I was. And you've got to know who you are. And that's my main thing. And that's what I'm teaching my daughters, and that's what I'm teaching my son. Like, just know who you are and love who you are. Love yourself. You don't have to be in a relationship. You don't have to be with someone to, love yourself. And then, if that's the route God has for you, then hey, y'all love each other. But I just started off with love. And that's what I tend to do with, with these women, with anyone that I'm talking to. What do you want? How do you feel? Why do you think you deserve that? Why are you putting up? I make it about you.
And that's hard. I think it's so much easier to look out at other people than to turn around and look at yourself. So, but thank you for that. If somebody wants to reach out to you, like if they want to have a conversation with you, or they want to go to you because they need your assistance, how can they connect with you?
Let me go on right there.
Well, I'm okay. I'm on social media, and I'm on Facebook at Shermonicia Slaughter. My inbox is open 24/7. I never close it down. Like, you can inbox me. I'm on Instagram as well. I'm on my kids got me on TikTok. They got me on TikTok, but I'm on there. I have 2 email addresses. I have a personal one, and then the one that if you want to reach out to me is My Journey Within Podcast at yahoo.com. You can reach out to me on there. And just, feel free. I am open. I'm here to listen. I'm here not to judge you. I'm here to help you through this journey, help you understand what you're going through. Please, please reach out. That's all I say. And I hope to work with some men one day, because, men can be victims of domestic violence too. But, I know that's another story, another topic. But I'm hoping that, I can work with some men one day.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that's you hear that feminine energy type of thing, and they get it's the wrong thing when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that I agree with you. I agree right there.
Totally.
And if you want to,
are you on Matchmaker?
What's that?
Oh, okay. You got to get on there.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, You do. We'll talk later. But yeah, so we'll have that information available to anybody.
Well, if you want to,
for the podcast.
I can email like all my stuff. I can just email it to you, so you can just better have it written down.
Yeah,
I can shoot you guys all that.
For sure.
I have enjoyed being on here with you ladies. Like, I love your talk. I love your flow. Like, I love.
Thank you.
You guys, and when I get started back up and get things going, I would love to have you ladies on.
Okay.
Hey, we're open.
We are down for it. Well, thank you so much for being on the Black Mom Diaries as a guest and just sharing your heart with us and sharing your story. And yeah, this has been great for me. And I always feel like it was worth it if I'm able to take something away from the conversation. And I definitely feel like I am able to take something away from this conversation. So I just want to say thank you so much for
Oh my God, you're so welcome. Thank you both too. I learned a lot as well. And I don't know what you guys' lineup look like, but domestic violence month is October. Awareness month is October. And if you guys are open, I would love to come back on and fully share my domestic violence story. If you have any time slots available, then you could just let me know, since that is the month.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we can
Thanks
chat.
for that.
We can
Thank
chat more about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us today. We know you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us, listening to Latanya and I chomp it up, and then our guest, Miss Shermonicia Slaughter, and all the gems that she brought and wisdom and everything. And, if you want to connect with us, you know how to do that. Get social with us. You can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or YouTube now. Look for us at Black Mom Diaries. And if you wanna email us because you have some constructive criticism, be constructive about it. Don't just criticize to criticize. Or if you want, you want to hear, you have a show idea, you want to share it with us. We want to hear from you. So reach out to us, blackmomdiaries@gmail.com. And Latanya mentioned it earlier. If you just want to chat, we have honest chats coming up. And if you want more information about that, you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter, Honest Chats. Search for us there. And our swag shop.
It's
Black Mom
open.
Diaries swag bag. Yeah,
It's
if you want to
open.
shop Black Mom Diaries
The
swag.
shirt is amazing. The cups are amazing. I have it. Your coffee tastes better when you.
It tastes so much better
Oh,
when
I
you drink
love
from
me
a
some
Black Mom
coffee. I'm
Diaries
gonna have to give me a
swag.
coffee cup.
Yes, do, because it still keeps it warm. The enamel one. Oh my God.
Yes,
Okay.
I love it. I have
one.
like 3, but yeah, so check out shop.blackmomdiaries.com and you can get your Black Mom Diaries swag there. And anything else, Latanya? Am I missing
Patricia,
anything?
I never did ask you permission about this, but maybe I'll talk about, about the book. I don't know. Can I mention the podcast?
Yeah.
I can. I just want to tell everybody, I'm for the children. I'm always for the children. And that's our greatest asset. Don't let nobody fool you. They're after them. I'm just trying to tell you, but one thing that we've created, my children and I, is it's called Story Being Giant, where my children read stories to children on the podcast. Well, I believe that it creates a certain comfortable atmosphere for children to learn how to love their voice at an early age and to explore their creativity. So if you have a chance, we would love for you to subscribe to Story Being Giant. That is the name of it. And I will be, we got some good things that's going to be coming down the pipeline. Some programs that I want to bring out. I'm always working with the Black Mom Diary crew, because I feel like, if anybody has, and I'm not going to get too long-winded, but our children need to understand how important their creativity is to loving themselves and to not falling into certain situations, because most of the time it's because we don't have a creative outlet, that we just leave these these holes, these rabbit holes that we try to go down, and so we find it everywhere else. But please listen to Story Being Giant. It is active, and you can always send me a message also at graceguidance@gmail.com if you have any questions about that.
That's great. Okay.
We just have all the things. So yes, and Story Being Giant, her one of her sons, he says Story Being Giant, and I can't say it nearly as cute or as cool as he does, but
he recorded
I love
when he
it.
was 4, so I was like, I gotta keep this.
Yes, I love it, and my kids love it, especially my daughter. And when she first heard it, she was like, she's like, that's Grayson. Yeah, that's Grayson. So yeah, so you guys check it out. She would love it. Yeah, that you guys check it out. They have some great stories. My kids love it. Like I said, especially my daughter, she loves it. She loves hearing stories told by other young people. So you guys check it out. And until next time, I am Patricia.
And I am Latanya.
Thank y'all so much for listening to the Black Mom Diaries.
We love you guys.